I need that water. What's going on, y'all? Brandon from Vegas. Welcome back to Real Estate 101, a.k.a. Won't You Be My Neighbor? This is our weekly podcast where we teach you guys a little something about real estate, not just here in Vegas, but all over. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Bill Gaylord, a.k.a. the most interesting man in mortgage. What's going on, Bill?
Brandon, happy to be here. I'm excited to inform and educate the your people
On what's going on. Yeah, yes, sir. So, Bill, tell a little people how we met. How did we first run into each other?
How did we first run into each other? Well, we first ran into each other because I do a lot of seminars and what's called building business monthlies, and I had somebody into my actual event, and they were talking on social media. And one of the people who attended the event, good friend of yours, Aaron Pearson Mills, said, Brandon, he had an event with another social media guy. And you were like, dude, why did you do that? You got real mad. And you called me up and said, Bill, why aren't we doing this? I said, well, let's sit down and talk. And then, man, it's been awesome we've been working together now for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun. And I've really, really grown to appreciate who you are, what you do, what you provide.
Aww.
Man, you are a caring, you are a bear, a big bear, teddy bear. So
this guy knows how to flatter me, man. He's good at this stuff. Sorry, my producer's telling me to get back in front of my damn mic. I'm bad at that. So, Bill, what I brought you in today was I think you're going to be a valuable asset to our conversations about real estate because I'm not a trained lender. I know enough to educate the people on the basics, but a lot of times they have questions and you're a more trustworthy source. You do this professionally. How long have you been doing lending here?
It's just about 30 years.
30
years. I know.
That's older than a lot of people that are watching. So my man's been doing lending longer than most of you have been alive, right? So he knows what he's doing. You've worked in multiple states, right? And what states are you currently able to work in right now?
We have about 15 states. 15. We can actually do lending in all 50 states. We work in conjunction with other people in our company, but we're primarily in San Diego, California. Mm-hmm. We do all of California, Arizona, Nevada, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, pretty much the western side of the United States.
San Diego has to be pretty good for you, yeah?
I lived there for 10 years, and I moved to Vegas 5 years ago.
Sure, a 2-bedroom condo, $700,000. Fantastic, right? So, Bill, what I want to get into today, and we're going to knock these out. Right? Because I like to do 30-minute episodes or less for the audience, something they can quickly digest like a TV show and knock it out. So, the first question, the most interesting man in mortgage. By the way, Austin, have you gotten a shot of our company?
I thought it was going to be a much bigger thing, but we can absolutely give me a sec here.
Look at that! Hey, I'm sitting next to the star of the show right here. Come on, man! The most interesting man in mortgage. Oh, okay, so Bill, the first question is, what's the current rate and where do you see it going?
So we have a daily show, and actually Robert and I were doing it today. 6.67% was the rate today. 6.67%. And we look at a great online resource. It's called Mortgage News Daily. Okay. It's all about mortgage, and it's a great website for consumers to go to. So if they're starting to get into the market and wanting to understand a little bit more about mortgage, what rates are doing, great website to go to.
Is it .com, .org?
MortgageNewsDaily.com.
Look at that, guys. If you want to know more about mortgage, if you want to stay on top of it, MortgageNewsDaily.com. That's fantastic. Okay. So 6.7 is your current rate, and that's still below historical averages, correct?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been, we've certainly got spoiled with low rates a few years ago, the past couple of years. But historically, that's not a bad rate.
So are you telling me 3.0 is not a normal rate?
Not a normal rate. It was funny because somebody asked me, it said, Bill, should I sell my house? I go, let me look up what you got. He had 2.25%. And I said, no, keep the house. Don't do anything. If you're going to do anything, you can rent it.
100%. If you're someone out there watching this and you have one of these crazy 2%, 3% homes, please don't sell your home. You have a great mortgage rate. You have a rate we're probably not going to see in our lifetimes. rent your home if you have to, right? You're going to be able to rent it for way more than whatever your mortgage is currently, and just get your second home from there. But don't lose that rate.
Don't lose that rate.
Don't
Keep
lose
that
that
house.
rate.
Yep.
100%. All right. So current rate and where it's going, 6.67. Where do you see it going? Obviously, you don't have a crystal ball, but you're an educated man. We had a conversation the other day where you can kind of use the current inflation rate and make some guesstimates off historical numbers. Where do you see the rate going?
Yeah, so it is based on inflation. So rates really follow inflation. As inflation comes down, rates are going to come down. And today, the PCE, personal consumption expenditure, came out today. It's the Fed's favorite inflation, and it came down just a tad. We were a little worried about this one, but I think in the next few months, starting with the April CPI that's released on May 10th, that's going to start a decline in interest rates. And then throughout the summer, we're probably going to see rates dip into the low fives. In my opinion, maybe even in the high fours. But my prediction is that we're going to be in the fives, the high fives, by the end of May.
Wow. Did you guys hear that? If I'm telling you right now, this is my prediction. If you are in Las Vegas and the rates dip down to the mid to low fives, you are going to see a buying frenzy like we haven't seen since 2021. It's going to be disgusting.
It's already started, Brandon. They're getting used to those rates, and people are hearing they're coming down, and some of the buyers are jumping in right now.
I've been telling people for the past 6 months, 7 months, hey, buy right now. Well, what about the rates? What about the prices, right? Everybody, no, seriously, this is everybody who said they've been waiting to buy for the interest rates to come down. I can't wait to see how miserable you are.
Don't wait. If you pay a premium now, a slight premium on the interest rate right now to save $20,000, $30,000 on a home price, do it.
Yep.
And then refinance.
100%. I've been saving a lot. I go on TikTok and social media. I've been saving videos of everybody who says, oh, the interest rate's too high to buy right now. Just wait. I've saved their videos because I can't wait to see what they say when housing prices go up another $40,000, $50,000 and they're complaining about, oh, the prices are too high. They're just going to jump from one thing to the next thing, you know? All right. Next question we have is now a good time to buy a house? And I think we kind of dipped into that a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. In my opinion, it is a very good time to buy despite higher elevated interest rates because there are some people that are still negotiating, the sellers, or some are a little bit negotiating on some of the closing costs. As you know, Brandon, you're a master negotiator. I've seen you in action.
He said a master negotiator.
Oh, my God.
Master negotiator.
I've seen it. I understand it. But I think some of those seller-paid closing costs, that window is almost over. And I think that window could be over here in May.
You know, it's funny. The way you use inflation to measure rates, I use new builds to kind of measure what's going on in the market, right? New builds, the first thing they started doing back in like back in like March, February, is they were offering these buy downs where they were willing to give you a rate in the 4s and 5s. And I said, why would they do that unless they think that the rates are about to go down, right? And since April started, every new build that I've been working with, they've pulled their incentives. They've pulled their incentives. Even if you use their lender, they might, we'll give you $5,000, $10,000, whatever. But they've pulled all the big time incentives. Yeah. Which means they predict that it's about to be a feeding frenzy too. They don't need to offer these incentives anymore. So I think we're in a universal agreement on that one.
Well, it's a supply issue, as you know, Brandon. There's just not enough homes. No. Builders are going to continue to build. Yeah. And I think price pressure is going to continue to go up.
Oh, yeah. We had hundreds of thousands of renters move here since COVID. You know how renters are. They move to a new city. They want to feel it out. They want to, my family wants to live here. We want to figure out and I think they're ready to go. Yeah. They've been here for a few years now. They're ready to go.
Well, a lot of people last year, when rates started to climb, they started to, should I buy or should I rent? And they ended up renting last year in that April, May, June time period. And then the rates went up. Now all those leases are starting to expire. And they're now say, hey, I got to buy before it even goes up further.
100%. I just had a guy text me today. Sorry, I'm fidgeting with my damn headphone cord. It's frustrating me. I just had a guy text me today, and he says, "Hey, Brandon, remember a year ago I told you I just got into a lease, but when my lease is up, I'm ready to go." He just texted me today, "Hey, my lease is up at the end of this month. I'm looking to buy. Let's get started." So he's actually going to be contacting you shortly, Bill. That's actually, hey, James, if you're watching this is the guy you're going to be talking to. So if you're watching this is your lender right here. All right. So I think that's an easy one to tell people. Is now a good time to buy? Yes.
Yes.
Because once these rates start dropping, you guys are about to see a spending spree. It's going to be consumers buying homes. You're going to have hedge funds spending billions of dollars buying homes in cash. It's going to be a shit show out there. It really is.
Yep.
So number 3, Bill, I run a daily real estate class, and I can't tell you how many times people have asked me the following question. What the hell is a refinance?
A refinance, in simple terms, is essentially taking the current mortgage that you have and replacing it with a new mortgage at a lower interest rate, and you save money. I'll give you just a simple example. So if you are currently paying, let's call it 6%, and the rates come down to 5%, and you have a $400,000 mortgage, you will save 1% on that mortgage, or $4,000 per year.
That's an easy way to go. Even
Okay.
I can understand.
You can
those
understand
numbers.
that. So if the refinance costs you, call it $2,000,
Okay.
right? Then, and you're saving $4,000, it will take 6 months to pay back the refinance.
Okay.
And so then you just have to determine what's the best way to, how long am I going to stay in the home? Am I going to stay in the home more than 6 months? Am I going to stay in here, forever? And so it's just really trying to look at the math and figuring out what, does it make sense to actually refinance?
Is there a way for the average consumer to understand how much it costs to refinance, or does it vary on a case-by-case basis like a mortgage does?
It varies case by case. Some people, like the gentleman that I talked to who had that 2.25% interest rate, when we first went in and got the mortgage, he paid 3 points when he purchased the home to get that 2.25%, right? So makes no sense for him to refinance. But on a refinance, sometimes you might want to do it on a very limited cost basis, which carries a slightly higher interest rate because you think rates will go down further. Sometimes you may want to pay a point to lower your rate to get it down even further so you save more money. It costs more up front, but the long-term savings are going to be beneficial.
Okay, that makes sense. And for people looking to refinance from, let's say, an FHA loan into a conventional loan, how long does that usually take? What are the requirements? Like, do I need to have 20% to refinance from FHA to a conventional, or can I do it, let's say, after a year?
So if you have an FHA loan, number one, you should definitely take a look at refinancing, particularly if you've had the home for 2 or 3 years, because the values have gone up, in Vegas and certainly throughout the country, a lot of values have gone up. You may be able to eliminate mortgage insurance and get a lower interest rate. And so it makes sense to really analyze getting out of the FHA loan because mortgage insurance goes away. And FHA, typically you're going to have that mortgage insurance at minimum for 11 years and some loans on FHA for life.
Yeah. FHA loan, mortgage insurance premium for life. I've taught you guys that before. Just want you guys to hear it again. If you take out that FHA loan, you're not getting rid of it if you don't refinance. So learning how to refinance is a very valuable tool. And you finally explained what the hell is it? Because everybody's heard of it. Hey, I'm going to refi. What the hell is a refinance? What does that even do? I think we can honestly spend an entire class on refinancing and just going over. Maybe that's what we'll do next week.
We can do that.
We'll literally just break down the numbers of each refinance. Like, here's what this costs, here's what this costs, here's what this costs.
Yep.
Maybe over lunch next time. That'd be a fun video, right? Where we just discuss like real estate over food, right?
I'm in.
Right? All right. So the next one. This is the big one. How do I use my equity? So let's start off here. Can you explain to the people who may not know what equity is, what it is? I like to explain to people, you ever heard of the game Fortnite? You ever heard of that, Fortnite? Yep. So one of the big like running jokes in my class is that they'll say, Brandon, explain this term like it's Fortnite, right? Yeah. So I tell them, well, equity in Fortnite is like, once you've got all the guns and all the stuff, and now you started off with nothing, but you built yourself up, and now you have a stash, right, based on what you've accomplished, right? It's not the perfect explanation, but it's Fortnite. What can I do? So can you explain to people in just normal terms?
Yes.
Or what's it? Explain like I'm 5, explain like I'm a kindergartner.
Yep.
What's the easiest way to explain equity?
The easiest way to explain equity is it's your money.
Okay.
Right? It's definitely money. And it's essentially the difference between the value of your home and how much you owe on the home.
There we go.
So in other words, if you have, let's say, a $500,000 house and you owe $200,000,
Okay.
you have $300,000 of equity. You take the value of the house, $500,000, you subtract the loan amount, $200,000, and it gives you the equity of the home. And that's $300,000. And essentially it's your money that's just sitting in a house account. It's like your house is like a bank account, and that's your money in there. So equity is that.
100%. Okay, if I pulled up one of my slides of how I explain equity, our slides are literally matching.
Yes.
What you said is exactly what I teach my audience. It's
good.
The difference between what you value, and what's funny is we use the same exact house price, because 500,000 just is something easy to understand.
Okay.
Right? It's a flat number, right?
Yep.
And it makes it simple when you draw it out like this, right? The difference between the value of your home and what you owe. And then another thing is, how do people find the value of their home? They have to call an appraiser, right? Which they can do.
There's a lot of different models out there, appraisal models. You see it. I really trust realtors such as yourself to really give you an idea, because you know the market, you know what's going on in the market, the current trends, all that stuff. So many times you can do a market survey and figure out what the value is. But there's a lot of online services. We have one that we really trust ourselves, and we can pull up reports, show the properties that have sold. You give me an address, and boom, I can check it out.
Sure. But what I like to tell people is, I can give you comps, I can give you round numbers, but ultimately those are educated guesses. Until an appraiser goes to your home and says, your home is worth this, it's not worth that. You could think, hey man, my neighborhood's 450,000, great. If an appraiser says your house is 430, my guy, your house is 430. It is what it is. Can we both agree that Zestimates suck, and that Zillow is not an appraisal of what your house is worth? Zillow's never right, okay? I have to repeat this daily because people are like, well, the Zestimate on the house says I can get it for 50,000 under. And I'm like, okay, let's offer 50,000 under and see if they say yes, right?
Yes. And one other thing I want to point out, Brandon, is I know prior to my 30 years in mortgage, I was a real estate appraiser, commercial real estate appraiser for 7 years.
Look at this guy.
So I understand the appraisal aspect of it.
Flexing is multifaceted knowledge.
But what I was going to say is appraisers don't always know everything.
Yeah.
It's an opinion of value, and it's their opinion, but they take the data and then they come up with a number.
Bill, can I tell you something?
Yes.
Before this, I was selling weed.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
We both have interesting
histories. Exactly. I wish I had your history.
No, you do not. Oh shit. Okay, final question before I get us both canceled out here. All right. What's the best loan to use and requirement for each loan? Let's start with requirement first, right? Because that's the most important thing for anybody watching this to know. What's required to get a loan, right? Because you're not buying the house cash.
Yeah.
99% of people aren't buying these houses cash, right? Which means you're going to take out a loan to get the property. So the question is, what's the best type of loan and what are the requirements for it?
Yeah. I'm going to start with what we generally look at. Number one, we call it CIA, credit, income, and assets. And it's kind of like a three-legged stool, right? You have to have all three of those things in order to qualify for a loan. Okay. If you remove one of the legs of a stool, it's going to fall over.
Sure.
So if you have bad credit, it ain't going to work. If you have no income, it's not going to work. Sure. If you have no money, it's not going to work.
Sure.
So those are the top three things. Then we look at essentially, primarily, how much money do you have for a down payment? And we also look at FICO scores. But I generally start with FICO scores because that will help guide us into the right program. FICO score minimum for FHA is 580.
But if someone walks into your office with a 580 credit score, are they getting that 6.7 credit rate, that 6.7 interest rate?
No.
F no, guys. What I teach my class every day is 580 is the minimum. You don't want to ever be the minimum for anything.
No.
Right?
No.
If the minimum height says 5'5" to ride the ride, you probably want to be 5'6". Don't risk it, right? Don't risk it with the minimum.
I don't think I'd get on the ride. I don't know if I'm that tall.
So 580 is the minimum for FHA.
Yeah, for FHA.
For a conventional loan, I know it vacillates, I know it varies, but what would you say is just an industry median for conventional loans?
Well, median is probably, the minimum is 620. Median is probably more in the 680 range. And again, it goes back to we look at your full financial profile, and your credit is a big part of it. A lot of times when you don't have great credit, there's some issues or you have too much debt, and we just have to look at the whole financial profile.
That's another big one, right? Because it's not just debt, it's debt to income.
Yes.
You probably get this a lot too, but the most common thing I get is someone saying, Brandon, I make $80,000 a year. How much house can I get? And I'm like, well, I mean, how much of that $80,000 are you saving? Right? Because if you're spending 70 of the $80,000, you probably can't get any house out there, you know? Yeah. So it's not just about how much money they have, it's about the debt that they have and what they're spending monthly, right? Can you go into about that?
Yeah, so we look at all the debts. We look at car payments, credit card payments, student loans, whatever they may be paying. And it's not uncommon, Brandon, for someone to come in and they make good money, but then they have a $600 car payment.
Oh my God.
And they go, and so I look at it and it brings their purchasing power down tremendously. And I had a good guy that I used to work with. He would look at him, he was from New York, and he'd look at the borrower, he says, you're driving your house. And so sometimes a car payment can really, get into a situation. We try and look at things and the whole financial profile. Can they remove the car loan? Can they get a new car? Can they give it to somebody else? Can they, pay it off? Whatever it may be, they may have less than 10 months payment. We may not have to count the car payment, but that's a big thing right there is a car.
100%. Car loan, student loan. That's what most people get caught on. Car loan, student loan. It's not even the credit cards, honestly, you guys. It's the car loans and the student loans. Like in realtors, every real estate agent besides myself drives like a Mercedes or a Tesla, basically. If you're a realtor, you drive a Mercedes, a Tesla, or like the new Porsche SUV, one of those kind of things, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, God damn, what are your guys' car loans at? Honestly, it's what kills most people. Most people have enough money to get a home. Most people do not save enough money to get a home, and that's ultimately the problem.
Yes.
Right? Their monthly income is great. This is a true story. I can't use his name, obviously, because we have all sorts of violations against that kind of stuff. But I had a gentleman when I first started real estate. Dude made like $120,000 a year. But my man spent like $130,000 a year. Like I was going through his financials with him, and I'm like, my guy, how are you spending six figures a year? And that's just like, he was never keeping track of his financial behaviors. So no matter how much money he made, he would always spend more than that. So don't be offended, you guys. If you make $50,000, $60,000 a year and you don't qualify for the house you want, don't take it personally. Because I know guys making six figures who don't qualify for anything at all.
Yeah.
It's just about how much money you can save, how much debt you can eliminate. If you had to give people advice, right? If they could only choose to do one thing, eliminate debt or build credit, what would you tell them to do?
I would say probably eliminate debt because that would impact your credit score and that's going to go up.
Yes.
But can I also say one other thing here, Brandon? Is that the hard part for so many people is the fear of calling somebody such as myself and basically spilling their financial guts to somebody they don't know.
Oh, man.
So it's so fearful. And the interesting thing, like myself, other mortgage lenders, we're your advocate. We're trying to help you get into a home. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to say anything. We're going to look at your situation and tell you what we believe you can do to get into a home. It could be that it might be a few minor tweaks and you're in 60 to 90 days. It could be a 6-month plan. It could be a year plan. It could be a 2-year plan. But if you don't start somewhere and you don't understand what's going on. Because, people are not educated. They don't teach this stuff in high school. They don't teach it anywhere. And so it's learning by hard knocks.
Yep.
And stop the hard knocks and just understand what's going on.
People get to a certain age where they don't want to learn anything new. The problem is they're doing it with financial education. And I am not a hypocrite. I am one of those people. It took me so long to get to, I'm catching up on back taxes. If the government's watching, I'm paying them, okay? But it took me a long time to get caught up on my back taxes because I was scared to go to accountant because I didn't want to know what I was doing financially. I was scared. I was like, oh my God, I know how much money I'm making and I know I'm probably spending too much and I don't want to look at it, right? That fear kept me from going to an accountant. But then I kept getting further and further behind on what I needed to do. And people have that same fear about speaking to you. So I'm going to keep bringing Bill on to these podcasts and to the live because I want you guys to start seeing lenders as real people. They're not, I know he's the most interesting man. I know he dresses like a baller, but he's a guy. He's like you and me. His house is just nicer than yours, right? And, you guys have no idea, but next time I do this class, we'll actually do it from his place, right? So you guys can see that he's very good at his job. But I want you guys to see that. Is that me? Oh my God. I'm the worst human being on earth. It's not me. Oh, shoot.
It's the other you?
Brandon, I hope you would have known by now, man. You're not an amateur.
I silenced this phone and I forgot to silence the other one.
You forgot to silence the trap phone, ladies and gentlemen.
Silence the trap phone. Sorry about that, you guys. Thank God I have a great producer who's going to edit all this and fix all this for me. So, no, but I want them to see you as a normal human being. I want them to see you as Bill, the person. You're not a bank. You're not some guy, a shadowy figure hiding behind a desk. You're just a person like the rest of us. And I want to humanize that part so people are not as afraid. So, Bill, thank you for coming on. I'm actually going to put your info on the screen so people know how to contact you when they watch the video. Hold on, let's get it here. Bill, can you tell the people your phone number?
858-776-6830.
And your email?
bill.gaylord@gaylordhansen, HANSEN.com.
Is that correct?
Yep.
So if you guys are watching this is how you can contact Bill. If you don't want to contact him directly, if you contact me first, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you to talk to Bill. So you can save yourself time and just contact Bill directly, right? He can help you get pre-approved if you're ready now, or if you're not ready now, he can help coach you on how to get ready in the future. Remember, we're all people here to help you because the more we help you, the more you turn around and help us. It's a symbiotic relationship. So thank you guys for your time. Bill, thank you for your time. Brandon. I know it's valuable. And as always, come and be my neighbor. Thanks, guys.